Okay guys, we're going to repot 3 plants today. Let me just go ahead and make some room on my tray here. I repotted another plant earlier that I didn't record, but that's okay. I put my Monstera standalliana on a moss pole, and unfortunately I just didn't think to pull the camera out. But anyway, I am going to repot this emerald ripple peperomia. I got this plant in August of last year, and while I think the foliage is beautiful, me and this plant have ridden the struggle bus since I got it. I just do not do well with the majority of peperomias. I have this in an old soil mix that I used to make that I no longer love for various reasons, and I want to take it out of the soil mix because I think that might be partially why this plant is doing so poorly. And I want to put it in this little pot here that I got. I hauled this pot on my collab with Gusty's Plants and Misha, Plants by Misha. I'll link that video in the description box or something if you want to watch that. That'd be great. But I'm just going to pull some of the dirt away here, and this peperomia's roots are very fine, and this plant is already struggling, so I do not want to rip any of the roots that it does have. I'm going to pot this up in Della Tank's soil mix, which is a very, very chunky mix of pumice, orchid bark, soil, and Tank's fertilizer. It's great. I love it a lot. I'm probably going to get another bag when I run out of this, but I'm going to put a little bit in the pot there. And as you can see, the soil mix I had it in that I used to make when I last year just retains way too much moisture. This stuff is sopping wet, so I'm not going to water this right away. I'm going to let this water dissipate out of the soil that it's currently in. This plant had about 12 completely yellow leaves. I'm assuming from overwatering, because that stuff just held on to way too much water. And I'm going to go ahead and put it in this more airy mix and wait for signs of dehydration before I water it again. I cut off all the old gross yellow leaves like I was saying, and now all that's left are the little baby healthy leaves, and we're going to start from scratch. I completely chopped this plant back to the new growth to start over. I'm going to start over with it. You can see how wet that soil was. It's all over the pot. It's just so moist and definitely not good for plants. So you live and you learn, and we're going to start over again. So there's that one. And the next one we're going to pot I got from Hertz Gardens at the same time as I got the peperomia last year. I did not realize at the time that watermelon peperomias did not travel well, and that Hertz sends their plants so sopping wet I couldn't even handle it. So this peperomia actually came with all the leaves pressed into the very, very wet dirt and rotted. So I ended up with 2 leaves on this plant, and it's ridden the struggle bus ever since. It's in that same soil mix that the other peperomia was in. I think it's just retaining way too much moisture. This one is not as wet because I haven't recently watered it. So I'm just going to go ahead and finger massage most of the dirt away here. And these leaves, with the exception of one, are all brand new. One leaf is pretty yellow that it came with originally, and we're going to cut that off today. It does have a lot of new growth in the base of the plant, so I want to cut off the yellow leaf, give it as good of a chance as I can to start over and continue to rehab this. All these leaves, except for the one I'm going to cut off, it did get in my care. All the other ones rotted away. So this plant is still recovering from all of that. I put a little too much dirt in here. Let me pour some of this out. Sorry. This plant is still recovering from when it arrived to me. A, these plants don't really ship well, and B, it was way too wet when they sent it to me. I only order from Hertz Gardens when they have a plant that's just too good of a deal to pass up, understanding that it might end up being a bit of a rehab. They ship their plants so wet. I've kind of stayed away from ordering from them, but they do have excellent customer service. So if something does arrive damaged or dead or what have you, they're really good about either refunding or replacing. So there's that at least. You know, you have that comfort of knowing if something doesn't come the way you like it to, they have great customer service there. Not hating on Hertz at all. They're like I said, their customer service is amazing. I just don't prefer the way their plants come personally. They're just too wet. So this one's all done. And it looks so much better and cuter in this little pot. I'm really excited that I'm doing this, giving them a new lease on life with some better dirt. And I'm sure that they're going to take off this spring. We're going to cut that leaf off that I was talking to you about. Goodbye, leaf. And there we go. All the new growth. So that one's done. Now, this next one that I'm going to do, I'm going to clear away all this soil and I'm going to wash off my tray because it's going to be a leca plant. I have my philodendron bipenniphilium in leca, and the roots are just everywhere. And I want to put it... First, I want to check the roots. I have not checked these roots since I moved it to leca, and there were some roots in there that had soil still, and I'm pretty sure those are probably going to need to be cut away. I'm going to go ahead and take off this leca as good as I can. I just finger massage. As you can see, most of it's falling off. If something won't come off and it's just too stuck to the leca, I just leave it alone. But typically I can get most, if not all, of the leca off of the roots just with a gentle finger massage. I can already see up at the base that there are some stringy roots that were left over from when the plant was adapted to soil, and I'm going to cut those off for sure. And then I'm going to check the rest of the roots and see if any of them are mushy or rotting or what have you. But as I'm fingering them away, all these roots look really good. They're plump. They're not soft or mushy. They look like they're doing okay. Please excuse my bad aim here, but I have to get the other side, and unfortunately that means my left hand has to hold the plant. So I'm so sorry about that. I'll change my view there. There we go. Change my view in just a moment. People will tell you that once your leca roots reach the water, that you have to repot. You have to get those roots out of the water, or they're going to rot and they're going to go mushy. That root I'm holding right there has been in the water for months. It's firm, it's white, it's not rotting, it's good to go. So I don't know if it's a pH issue where people are having this problem. I only use distilled water in my leca plants. All my plants really only get distilled water. So I think that has a lot to do with why my plants don't really struggle. In leca with the roots being wet, there is some roots that have some algae on them because I am using a clear orchid pot. But other than that, there's those two stringy roots there. See, I'm going to cut those off because those absolutely have zero need on the plant. And this is a great demonstration of why you don't open boxes with your gardening shears, because now they don't cut even through dead roots. I need to sharpen them. So forgive me for being a bad plant parent and having dull shears, but I'm just going to put the plant down and use my hands to help. That way I can get those off. Those are old roots from, like I said, from when they was in soil. I had intended to put this back in the orchid pot. I just really wanted to check the roots and everything. But man, it has so many roots. I'm afraid, roots are going to be so abundant in a layer on the leca that it's not going to adequately feed water up to the roots. If they're too bunched up, they won't receive water to the higher part of the roots. The leca pretty much is dependent upon touching each other to wick the moisture up. If you have a giant layer of root, you're not going to get the water wicking up because the roots are between the leca balls and they're not touching each other. So I'm going to go ahead and get a bigger pot. I'm going to put it in this 6-inch pot here. I got this pot on Amazon, and I got the clear saucer thingy from Lowe's, actually, in their garden center. You could probably find them at any Lowe's, especially getting closer to this time of year. They're probably going to have a lot of gardening supplies, but I got the 6-inch deep saucer at Lowe's. And I'm just going to put the leca. There's nothing wrong with the leca that it was in. There was no rotting material. There was no mold. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the leca back in the pot. I feel confident that there's nothing wrong with that. But since I got a bigger pot, I'm going to need more leca. So here I am struggling to hold the plant, get this thing stable enough to scoop, and it's just a mess. I'm a hot mess. Sorry, guys. But I'm going to go ahead and scoop some leca just around the plant. It's just potting up just like in soil. I'm going to need to move some of these leca balls because the strainer is rolling around on them. That's much better. And there we go. Okay, so I'm just going to put leca all around the plant. make sure it's kind of sitting somewhat the way I want it to. I can make little adjustments afterwards. And here we go. It's going to look so much better. It's going to have a new lease on life. I was going to cut off the old leaf that it came with. This leaf has been yellowing since I got it. I do believe it was a little bit of cold damage. I did order this plant or buy this plant from a person on the Plant Me Ashley Discord in, I think, December, and that leaf came damaged already, yellowing and kind of drooping, and it never really recovered, but the new leaf came out of that leaf, so I'm really glad I never ended up cutting it off. It is still mostly green. I think I'm going to go ahead and leave it for now, because since it's still alive and still green and really not turning any more yellow, while it's not the most beautiful leaf, it is still serving a purpose. It's producing other leaves, it's still photosynthesizing, so unless something happens that makes me need to cut it off, I think I'm just going to go ahead and leave it alone. I'm going to reach around here, get all this leca, because this is going to all just go on top and fill in the top here. And yeah, that's pretty much gonna do it. It's gonna have a bigger pot to grow into. I'm not expecting any more leaves for the next month or so, because it is going to start growing roots again to fill up this pot, because while it didn't fit in the 4-inch, the 6-inch was a little roomy, so it's probably going to grow some more roots, and that's fine. The plant should take its time and do its thing, and that's important. I'm going to just adjust it a little bit here, make sure the leca is even all around the plant and make it look nice, and that's going to do it. The plant is in leca, and it's doing well. It produced a new leaf. Hopefully the next leaf's coming out will be bigger. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of a water reservoir in here. Let's see, that will work, and boom. That was a quick little repot, and you got to see me repot something in leca. So we did 2 little plants in new soil and cute little planters today. We did 1 plant in leca and gave it a bigger pot, and I think that was a pretty successful late night chore session. It is about 9 p.m. where I'm at today, so sometimes this is the only time I can get things done. But anyway, here they are in all their glory. They're ready to go back to their homes, and thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.